Someone asked me recently, what do I do about my desire for money? How do I get rid of it? Oh, you don't, but you do get in right relationship with it. I am Reverend Amani Malaika, and I want to talk this month, for at least the next few weeks, about money and vocation and being rich and abundant and prosperity and all the words, right? What does that look like? How do we get in right vocation? Whether we're working for pay or we are staying at home and taking care of a family or we are retired, vocation is still very real for us. And what does any of this have to do with spiritual living? Well, how about we start with the Christian Bible quote, "Be in the world and not of the world." Or the Quran, "God is nearer to you than your jugular vein and is everywhere you are." You and I get to be rich, as Jen Sincero says, when we understand that resourcing our authentic life is entirely dependent on knowing what our authentic life is. And that is the definition of richness or affluence, which I love the definition of affluence as means to be an abundant flow, divine flow. And to be in that flow, to experience aliveness and to be able to be fully resourced in the living of your authentic life is spiritual in the sense that this isn't about money. This isn't about career or success in any of the ways that we have been taught to believe. It is about being in flow because you know yourself to be an emanation of the Holy Blessed One, a divine being who is here to give the gifts that you have been appointed and anointed with, and to receive the gifts of life itself. And that there's a natural flow, just like the inhalation and the exhalation. And in that flow, you can experience absolute abundance and richness. But because we focus on the wrong things, and we've been taught to, we've been absolutely socialized to, we struggle and we think that we have to aim at a certain goal or a mark that has been given to us by society, given to us by our parents, given to us by bosses, and blah, 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 fraternities and sororities and all the things to keep up with the Joneses. And that is not flow. That is not affluence. That is not abundance. That is not richness. Jen Sincero's definition of rich is to be able to afford all the things and experiences required to fully experience your authentic life. To be fully funded and resourced to authentically show up on this planet as the divine being that you are. I know for me, in my experience of the greater and greater sense of abundance and affluence and flow that I have continued to live into in my life, has been absolutely a result of discovering more honestly what an authentic life for me is. Right? It has required work for me to peel away the misbelief and the ideas that I thought were the way to go. The things that I thought I should be aiming at as successful. And the more true I have been to myself, the more that I have discovered about what really aligns with my joy, what really sparks and lights me up, the more resourced and funded I have become. Authenticity isn't about rejecting anything or claiming anything. This is where you and I get in right relationship with finances and vocation, because we commit ourselves to spiritual living. We commit ourselves to conscious living. And instead of focusing on the money and the number and the right job and the right house and the right car and the right clothes and the blah, da, 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 we focus on our own consciousness. You focus on what it means to be you. And when you are centered in that place, the you that is true will be inspired to move towards the things and the people and the work and the experiences that are in alignment with who you really are. This is crucial to experience greater flow, to experience actual abundance. There's this honesty that has to happen with yourself. Getting in right relationship with money and work and career is a spiritual task that begins, as all things begin, with going within, with getting intimate with your truth, discovering that you really do get to have what you deeply long for, but you must go into the depths of yourself to discover what that longing really is. Like my friend who was asking about what should I do about my desire for money? How can I get rid of it? Well, what's the desire really for? Would be one place to start. Why do you want $100,000 or whatever that number is? For what purpose? To have a mortgage? To purchase things that you're not even sure what they are? Or why you want them? Going into the depths of your longing, your true desires, is one of the ways you and I get to come into contact with our divine nature, with our true nature, our holy nature. You know, I was saying to my friend, I want you to dream, but I want you to dream God's dream for you. So one of the things we get to do when we're beginning to discover what it means to be rich, like really rich and affluent, is discovering our true desires and letting go of and releasing and peeling away and rejecting what we've been told we should desire. You get to have all the money you need to live that authentic life. You get to have all the resources, the time, the place, whatever that is. You know, and like for myself, having to get really honest with myself about what actually would resource my authentic expression of aliveness. You know, I remember when I was looking for a house and, you know, they tell you to create your wish list of like, what are your must-haves, what would your would-be nices. And in that process, as I was doing the looking, you know, the must-haves changed. Because the process of really looking for the right home for me and my family revealed to me what really mattered to me. Like, oh, I need enough space for all the beloveds, all the foster babies that I had inherited. I realized one of my deepest desires was to be able to grow food. So having space to do that and water to do that, those became the must-haves. The neighborhood, less important, right? The style of the home was less important. It was the space for my beloveds and a place to grow food. But until I got really honest with myself, my list did not look like that. And my whole house hunting process changed. as a result of that honesty, of that depth, willingness to go deep into my desires. My desires are God's desires because God is where I am. Wherever I am, God is. This is what the Quran has said. This is what omnipresence means. This is the unification step of spiritual mind treatment. God is everywhere present at all times, never missing, which means that that presence is here in me. So that means when I peel away misbelief, when I peel away toxic capitalism and consumerism and colonialism out of my own being and thinking, what I am left with is what is true for me, what is divinely true for me. And in alignment with that, I get into flow with that. And everything starts to flow with me. This is the spiritual law of resonance. That as I get into the right relationship with my own desires, with the way that love wants to show up as me authentically and wholly, my whole frequency and vibration begins to shift and resonate at the level of love that I am. And my life begins to become a reflection of that truth that I have become conscious of. I'm now playing a note on the keyboard of my own life, and what is harmonizing with me starts to change. The resources I need are totally different than what I thought before I became conscious of what is true. And so this is my prayer, is that when you decide your finances and your career and your vocation are a spiritual endeavor, and that you add this into your life as a conscious decision to get in right relationship with your divine nature so that you are living inside out. That spark of love that Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, says love points the way, law makes the way possible. That spark of love that is pointing you from the inside is what actually points you to richness. This is the road to freedom. The inside outness that is spiritual living. The intimacy with the divine. The inhale and the exhale that the divine is nearer than your jugular vein. And that you can be in relationship with that and let that guide you in every step, every day, towards your greater and greater good. And that greater and greater good isn't just about what you are receiving. It is very much about what you are giving, what you are contributing through your aliveness. The very reason for your being on the planet is to be in this relationship, this flow with the divine, with life itself, with your beloveds, to be in the great dance that is the greater reality that you and I share. And oh my God, is that rich. So, so rich. So that is one of the prayers I hold for you. And I want to share with you some ways you might begin to practice discovering and revealing the depth of your desire, your true longing, your God's love's longing that is in you. And those are the practices we're focusing on this month, which is to rest or Sabbath. And one of the translations that I love of the word Sabbath from the Hebrew Bible is to stop and delight. So one of the practices you can do this month is to stop all the things, stop the thinking, stop the doing, stop the worrying, stop the figuring out. Just stop and focus everything you've got on delighting. Delight in nature, delight in your relationships, delight in beauty, delight in play and pleasure. Just stop and delight. Whether you do that as an all-day practice once a week, which is common with Sabbath, or whether you do that for 5 seconds on your lunch break. I want you to stop and delight. And after you've done that a bit, I want you to notice. I want you to pay attention to what you are needing to stop, what is in the way of your delight, and then I want you to abstain from that, or go all the way in with the practice of fasting, where you empty yourself, like it is a full stop. Fasting as a religious practice, which has gone through every religion and faith tradition across the globe, across time. And it's for a purpose of emptying yourself so that you can be in greater contact, intimacy with the divine. But even if you don't do a full fasting practice, which is no food or water for a day, maybe you abstain from whatever it is you discover is in the way of your delight. Maybe you abstain from screens for a period of time because they keep you from stopping and delighting. Or maybe you discovered when you stop and delight that you are so focused on money and worry about money that you can't actually get to your delight. So maybe that's the abstaining practice you participate in, is you take an absolute time out for a set amount of time from worry. These are the practices you and I will focus on in this series. Because your richness is entirely dependent upon your holy, true nature and discovering what that authentic life is for you as a divine emanation of the one. Let's declare it to be so. You rich and affluent and flowing as your holy true nature. And so it is.